How you doing, folks? Scott here with Van Dorsten Custom Firearms, bringing you an update on the Scout Rifle project. It's kind of been on the back burner for a while, but I'm back into it. I've actually gotten quite a bit of work done on the actions. Some of it I couldn't get a good video of it, so you're not going to get to see that. But here's an update on what is going on. Okay, so far our actions, we've trued the front face of them so that it's all squared up to the bolt ways, and we have opened up the bolt face so it now accepts the 308 cartridge, like so. If you'll remember, they are originally set up for the 300 blackout, but we're opening them up for 308. We have the bolt knobs installed, and things are coming along really well. I am going to do a video today of squaring the bolt face. So if you'll see, okay, this one here, I've already squared the bolt face on it. This one here I have not. So I've already opened it up, but now we're going to square it to the action to make sure that it's, everything is square. It's going to help with the accuracy. A couple of other things that some of you people that have been following me on other locations, scoutrifle.org and stuff like that, have been asking about this, okay? I have prototypes of these. This is the spare mag housing, and the idea is that I'm going to machine out a section here in the stock, and we're going to insert this into it like that. It'll be down in here, so that you'll be able to have a spare mag housing in the buttstock, as well as having a magazine up front that you're firing from. I have 3 of them that I'm going to be installing and testing. It's been a bit more of a challenge than what I would normally think it would be. Finding somebody that'll produce them for a reasonable price, that is still marketable. And then I also have to test it to make sure how easy it is to machine out the stocks, how it's going to look, how it's going to function. And then once I have all that figured out, I have to see, is this going to be economically viable, whether or not people will be able to afford it, whether I can charge a reasonable price for it, or if it's just going to be so expensive it's just not going to work. So that's where I'm at with that part of it. The Scout ribs are going great. I'm still trying to nail down a place that's going to produce them for me. I don't have CNC capability, so I do have to outsource the production of the scope mounts. But it's going to happen. I got a couple places I'm talking to, trying to get a good price going on them. So that's where we're at with the Scout Rifle builds. The builds in general are going to be going pretty quick from here on. We got the one bolt face that we're going to square up today. I'm going to show you how I do that. And then after that, it's going to be time for barrels, and then we'll start putting stuff into the stocks, and then it'll be ready for final finishing and stuff like that. So things are going to be going pretty quick here. Okay? To show you, again, this right here, just so you see a standard AIC style magazines. It'll work for the 5 or the 10 round, although the 10 round is going to be sticking way out. I don't know why you'd want to do that. But if you wanted to, you could. But it'll fit either one. I am going to lighten this up a little more. It's already made out of aluminum, but we're gonna do some stuff to it and make it even lighter. Again, Scout Rifle, you're trying to get it as light as possible. So, okay, let's get down to squaring up the bolt face. We have a fixture. Now this setup is from Manson Precision Reamers. It's a great process to use. Now, of course, I do have the lathe, and I do have the LeBounty fixture to where I could square it up on that. In fact, I could square it up when I was opening up the bolt face. However, doing that, all it's going to do is square it to the bolt. Doing it this way, I square it to the action. I prefer that method. I prefer squaring it to the action over just squaring it to the bolt ways. That way it assures everything in the action is going to be square and going to be, get centered. Once I thread the barrel and all that to the action itself, everything's going to be centered off of the bore. Again, that's going to help with accuracy. Okay, so very simple process. This is the fixture. You're going to screw it on here like this. Sorry, I need to reposition this so you can get a better view of what's happening. Okay, so we're going to install it on the fixture onto there with the cutter, the bolt face cutter in it. Okay, just like that. But first, we want to put a little oil on it. That's just going to help make sure everything stays well lubricated. And on the bolt face as well. Okay. Now this has slots on it where you can put a wrench on it if you want. I've never seen a reason to. It works just fine, hand tight. It's up there nice and snug. When you put it in the vise, you want to put it in a fashion to where the bolt's going to be pressing down. That way, just make sure it's in the fully closed position. Just about like that. Okay, now it's in the vise. The drill you use, you need to put a drill on it so you can turn it. I recommend using one that does not have a whole lot of power to it. This is a Milwaukee. This is one of the 12-volt ones. It's actually a really good solid drill. I have the 18-volt ones, but those are a lot more powerful and a lot faster. I don't recommend using something that. If you do, just make sure you control the speed. Don't go too fast. Make sure you use one that does have like a variable speed trigger on it so that you don't go too quickly on that. All right, so I'm going to bring you up here. Hopefully that works. Okay. The only downside about this method is that you got to put the drill on and off each time. Okay, so oh, that's a snug fit. Okay, we'll be all right. Okay. Okay, so you want just a medium amount of pressure on there. Just like that. It's seated in there now. It's going to go for, you're only going to go for a few seconds. Just like that. And then you're going to take it off and you're going to check it. This method, it's really hard to screw up the bolt face this method. You can screw it up. You can go really hard and really fast, and you can tear things up inside of there and go too deep. But you go a few seconds at a time, take your time with it, and you're going to be just fine. Okay, so I'll give you a look inside of there. Back it out, so here we go. So you can see there's still a ring inside there. So we need to go a little bit more, which is normal. And you just do this a few times, checking it every few seconds until everything is flat, all the dicum is gone, and it'll be nice and square. You actually end up with a lot of really good result this method. When everything cooperates. There we go. Like I said, you don't want to go too much all at once. You want to go a little bit, check it, go a little bit, check it. Because as soon as all the rings disappear on there, you're done. You're good to go. You don't need to do anything more. Okay. Now you can see that ring, that little black shadow in the center? You can see that's how off-center that thing was. Or off a square, rather. And as soon as that disappears, we're done. The bolt face is square. Add a little more oil. I'm just using regular gun oil on this. You know, you can use cutting oil, whatever you want, just some sort of a lubricant. You're really not building up a lot of heat with this process because you're not doing too much at once. And again, just medium pressure. You don't want to push too hard. And you're just going to go a few seconds each time. Cleaning it as I go, getting all the shavings and burrs out of there. And we're almost there. We have just a little bit more to do. And I'm just using a regular brush to clean the bolt face off in between each one. Again, medium pressure. And just, you go back and forth like this several times. And I think we're almost there. Yeah, we're just about there. Okay, so if you can tell, right up over in this section here, there's still a little bit of the old finish left from it being blued, or I think this, in this case it was parkerized at the factory. So that's how, I mean, you've seen how many times it's gone back and forth. That's how uneven the bolt face is from the factory. This is why blueprinting in action gets you so much more accuracy in your gun, because you're making sure everything is squared up to the bolt ways, and then when you thread and chamber the barrel, everything is then squared to the bore. And there's different levels of doing accurizing like this. You know, I can recut the threads on it. to make sure those are all squared to the bolt ways. I'm not doing that to these ones. They are scout rifles. They are not a half MOA gun. They're still going to end up being, I forgot to put oil on that. They're still probably going to be sub 1 MOA for certain. I'm using good quality barrels. I'm using Schillen barrels on it. And with the accurizing, you know, you're going to be a sub 1 MOA gun. Easy. With just this little bit of accurizing. The lugs have already been lapped, so lugs are in full contact. When I'm blueprinting the gun, the lapping of the lugs is the first thing that I'll do. It's an easy way to do things. It's probably the most important thing to get done first, and then everything else squares up very easily. And we still have just a little bit more of a line here. Now, people have asked, how do I know how deep to go? Or how do I make sure that I don't go too deep? Well, it's real simple. I'm not going any deeper than the lowest area in the bolt face. Once that last little bit of lines are gone, I'm done. That's it. I leave it alone. So I technically haven't gone any deeper than what the factory has already done. I've just made sure that I've matched everything to the lowest point that the factory has put in. So that's how you make sure you're not going too deep doing this method. Yeah, and I've never had one go too deep. I've really never had one change more than about a thousandths from the from beginning to end on my measurements doing this, and because I'm taking off so little material from this, is just you're not going too deep. Now, doing it on a bounty fixture on the lathe, it's a lot easier to go too deep that way, because you're just going off of your measurements, and it's still the same principle, but you just got to make sure you're taking smaller cuts, as small cuts as possible. So okay. Okay. Now you'll see that that shaded area that was over here is now gone. So this is all square. However, there is a ring right around the firing pin here, and that is not from the cutter. That's from the factory, and I want to get that out. I could leave it right like the way it is right now, and would probably be just fine, but I don't like the way it looks, and I want it to be better. So I'm going to go just a little bit longer and get that ring out of there. Again, I still haven't gone too deep because that ring is there from the factory. So, I'm not going any deeper than what the factory has done. I'm dropping things left and right. I can feel in the way it sounds that there is almost full contact, so this shouldn't take very long at all. Yep, there we go. Whoops. Okay. There you go. Now that ring is gone around the firing pins, everything is level and even and squared to the receiver face. So that's looking real good. I'll pull that out. Let me bring it back over here. That looks great. That looks fantastic. Okay, there you go. Now, the bolt face is now opened up to accept the 308 cartridge. And the bolt face is squared. The lugs have all been lapped. The receivers are squared. The next step is getting the barrels on. So that'll probably take place later on this week, and I'll have another video up for that. Once the barrels are on, we can start getting them cut down to the length that we want, which is going to be 19 inches. Crowning them, start getting sights on it. Yeah, things are going to go pretty quick from here. So, yeah, we'll get them into the stocks and start fitting everything. Yeah, things are going to go pretty quick from here, so I look forward to showing you that. There's another one. There's 2 more scouts coming. So I'm going to be doing a good, better, best in the scout world. So starting with a scout rifle, which is going to be just like the bare basics of a scout rifle, is going to have a forward-mounted scope and backup sights. And that one's just plain Jane, bare basic scout rifle. I'm going to have a upgrade from that, which is going to have detachable box magazine and an upgraded trigger. And then we're going to have the full custom build, which is what these Remington Model 7s are going to be full custom build scout rifles, or any action you would prefer to use, especially if you're left-handed. You'll probably have to go, if you want one like these, you're going to have to go with the Remington 700 short action, because they don't make the Model 7 in a left-handed. But I can use just about any action you want. Some of you out there have inquired about claw extractors and stripper clips. if that's something you want, I would recommend using, if you're not going to use like an old Mauser action or something like that, I'd recommend the Montana 99 action. I can build you one off of that. I can build you a great scout rifle off of Montana 99. So, yeah, but any action you like, we can do one. Let me show you real quick. So, the basic, the good, better, best idea of the scout rifles. I'm starting with the Howa 1500 youth model. It's got a really nice Hogue stock to it. It's got the 14 and I think 3/4 inch length of pull. I'm sorry, not 14, but 12 and 3/4 inch length of pull, so it's short. The good one will be just like this. It'll have the scope mount on it like that. Okay, and it'll have excess sights front and back. They come 20 inches. I'm going to be cutting it down to 19 inches. Again, just keeping it compact, save a little weight there. This will be a really good little rifle. I've done one up before already, and it's really fun. It's really handy, and the Howa actions are smooth, and they're pretty accurate. I mean, they do guarantee a 1 MOA ish gun. They say it's a 1 MOA, but it's going to be a 1 MOA. You remember what I told you before on factories? If you looked at my Facebook page, I wrote something up on that. Whenever factory is telling you it's a 1 MOA gun, it's usually a 3-shot group, and it's usually with a specific ammo. Not every ammo you buy, just like a specific, usually a top-of-the-line ammo that they're testing it on, or they find that sweet ammo that one shoots really well in this gun, but others do not. So they say it's a 1 MOA. I'm going to call it probably more a 1.5 MOA gun, which is perfectly fine for a scout rifle, perfectly great for a hunting rifle. It'll be fine. So again, yeah, the Howa 1500 is going to be awesome. So look forward to seeing that. I'm just going to put this right here. Look forward to seeing those. Coming up in the next video, we're going to be putting the barrels on the guns. Get our first test fire out of the way. So yeah, things are moving along now. I appreciate you guys all being patient, and I appreciate you tuning in to the channel. This has been Scott, your friendly neighborhood gunsmith with Dorsten Custom Firearms, now in Sheridan, Wyoming. Check in later. Take care.